We'll just kind of go through this. First of all, we need some qualifications for a teacher's assistant. I can wait a minute if I need to. Okay. They need to exhibit cleanliness. When it says attractive appearance, we are not looking at their faces. I mean, it's not like you have to be a beauty to be a teacher's aide, but you need to be dressed neat and attractively. A positive, cheerful, supportive attitude. Because they're in the classroom to help students and to support you. And that's the kind of attitude that you want to see. A neat, orderly work area. Because when they have that, you know that they can be organized, that they can find the things that they need to find. And they need to absolutely demonstrate confidence and support for the teacher. If they are second-guessing what you are saying, that is a huge problem. The kids need to know that you are the teacher, they are the aide, but then you also support the aide in letting the kids know that they need to listen to the aide, and the aide is you when you're not there. They need to be willing to support the school regulations and policies, follow all the classroom procedures. They need to, if they have a problem, they need to follow the channels just like everyone else. You talk to the teacher first, then the principal, then the school board chair, then the superintendent if it isn't solved earlier. They have to know that they must keep that strict confidentiality because these are children and their parents are not going to want to hear about their child from someone other than the teacher. And so they need to speak to the teacher, they need to speak to you, and then you are the only one who will speak to other people about it. This is not something to go talk to their friends, anything like that. They talk to you. They need to be there consistently. If they aren't there consistently, for me, I would just as soon not have one because you never knew when they were going to be there, and so you didn't always have something for them to do. So if they can't be there regularly, find someone who can because that's really difficult. Get to know your aide. While you're focused on the kids, don't forget your aide. Find out their favorite food. I know my husband would bring donuts in to me periodically. He always made sure he got one for my aide as well, just to make sure that she was included. And so you can think of things like that too. Find out their favorite color, their favorite type of gift card. That's wonderful when it comes time for needing to come up with little gifts. You'll have some ideas. Know when their birthday is. Know what their pet peeves are because you are working with them, and if you don't have to, don't do the things that are pet peeves to them. I mean, just think about how you want to be treated too, and hopefully they'll be responding the same way. Find out their favorite weekend activity. All of these things give you something more to talk about as well as gift ideas. When you have an aide, make sure they have a place of their own, a desk or a table, and they need their supplies. If they're going to be going outside, they need a whistle. That's all important because calling kids in from outside without a whistle I don't appreciate it. Provide them with a schedule. Make sure that they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing at different times. It will make them feel safer, and you won't be frustrated with them not being able to read your mind. Have a way to communicate, whether there's a notebook that you're using, whether you do Post-it notes, but have a way to communicate so that if they come in and you're teaching, they can grab the Post-it note and do the next thing, or look at the notebook and do the next thing. Share all of your procedures. Do not hide things from them. I mean, I know you don't do it automatically, but Make sure that they really understand what the procedures are. Just because someone's been sitting in your classroom helping kids does not mean that they know all of your procedures, because they might have been totally tuned out. So hand them a sheet that gives them all the procedures and what you're expecting. This is beginning of the day, recess, lunch, how to help students, grading papers, where to find their list of duties. When you're working with an assistant, remember, you are both important. Those kids need both of you in that classroom, because yes, you are the teacher, but you're not going to be able to meet all of the students' needs without the help of an aide. I mean, if you're in a classroom that requires an aide, you really need that support. Your mood is catching. If you are a little grouchy or a little snippy, they could end up doing the same thing, and you certainly don't want that. And guess what the kids do? The same thing, they pick it all up. Keep the classroom happenings private. Set clear expectations. And I mean, so classroom happenings private, just like you don't want the aide going around talking to other people about the students or about you, you need to give them that same respect and keep the things that happen between the two of you private as well. Make sure that there are clear expectations, that they know exactly how you want them to do things, how you want them to work with students. Confidentiality, I mean, I've said that over and over. That is so very important. Be open-minded. Working with another person, they have ideas, and if you are open-minded to hear what they have to say, you can learn some things. And so be open. It doesn't mean that you let them take over your classroom or decide how things will be run, but take time to listen, because they may have some really good ideas or for the groups that they're working with. Be appreciative. Stop and just thank them, and make sure that you notice. Let them know that you've noticed the difference in the kids that they've been working with. How to use an assistant. Play educational games. Help students that have been absent get caught up. Grading. Assisting students needing to make corrections. There are always those. Answering telephone calls. Often things are coming on your phone. I don't know how many of you have phones in your classroom, but if you have a phone that is actually in your classroom, let them do some of that so that you can continue teaching, and that's perfectly fine. Assist with sick or injured students. If students need Band-Aids, they can help with that. Student needs to go get cleaned up, they can help with that. They can work with individual or groups of students to practice math facts. Bulletin boards. Oh, I loved it when I had an aide that enjoyed bulletin boards, because that was not a favorite of mine, and they enjoyed it, and they could take their time and get it done. They can prepare things for centers or anything else that you're needing. Assist in creating the centers, supervising recess, lunch, study halls. Read aloud to students. Sometimes it's nice to just have that 10 minutes or so where somebody else is reading to them and you have a chance to breathe. Listen to students read or recite things. They can dust, straighten up. They can supervise students as they're cleaning up. They can find specific books that are in your bookcase that you're sure is there, but you didn't have a chance to find it yet. Organizing spaces. Encounter Bible, it's a big kit. If you let them know what you need, they can go and look through the kit and find what is needed. Weekly filing. Making sure that that filing is done, doing Friday folders or whatever day you're sending folders home. There are so many different ways that you can use them, but there are ways that you may not. A teacher assistant cannot teach classes, including kindergarten. And you might think, oh, come on. Yes, but they're not being paid as a teacher. And if they're not being paid as a teacher, it's not fair to them to use them as a teacher. So it's not that they aren't necessarily qualified, it's they aren't getting the right pay for that. And if they came back later and said, I was doing all the teaching here, it could really be a problem. So you need to protect yourself, your classroom, you need to protect your aide. And so you are the one that does the teaching, they're the ones that do review, that do helping with things later. A teacher assistant cannot take a group of students on a field trip because a teacher or principal must be the lead person. A teacher assistant cannot do things a teacher cannot do. They should not be alone with a student. Now, yes, we are alone with students, but doors are open, and we just want to make sure that there's never any closed space where either you or your assistant are alone with a child. There should always be a place where people can walk by and see that everything's okay. Physically discipline a student. Absolute no-no. Leave a child unsupervised. We don't just put them in the classroom and then walk away and are gone. Someone needs to be there. So those are just some things that we want to remember with aides, because they are very precious people, and we want to make sure that they're treated that way. Now, are you always going to get along perfectly? Are you going to get frustrated with them sometimes? Yes, you might. But keep in mind why they're there. They're there for the kids. They're there to support you. And remember, just like any other person, the more you know about them, where they're coming from, the easier it is to accept them as people, accept them as a person who's different than you, and learn to work together to benefit the students in your classroom. All right. You.